Humanity was playing its last card under the looming shadow of great galactic wars. Peace in the universe had become increasingly fragile, and massive conflicts between great powers seemed inevitable. Amidst this chaos, the brightest minds on Earth were working on a project that might be their last hope: the infinite simulation. This artificial intelligence program was designed to predict every possible outcome of war, analyzing thousands of different scenarios to offer the best strategy. The young geniuses leading the project could feel the growing fear within themselves as they tried to translate the world they envisioned into code. Thorn, Zeke, and Nyla. These three young prodigies had laid the foundation of the infinite simulation. Yet, no matter how perfect the simulation seemed, something was missing: a true understanding of the chaotic nature of war. One night, bathed in the blue light of the massive computer screens in their base, Thorn sat in front of the display, reviewing the program's latest data. The system had calculated billions of possibilities, analyzing each war scenario. But Thorn felt uneasy. He couldn't shake the sense that something was missing. No matter how flawless the system appeared, could it truly capture the chaos of war? Nyla, carrying a cup of coffee, approached and sat beside Thorn. "Did you find something?" she asked. Thorn frowned and pointed at the screen. "The data. The data is correct. But it's just math. War is chaos. A tiny variable can destroy the entire equation." Zeke, lost among the code a little further away, spoke in a tired voice. "The thing is, infinite simulation calculates every possibility. But it's still just a guess. You can never truly simulate a real war." Nyla nodded. This program could change the fate of war, but relying on it completely would be a mistake. As the infinite simulation was being developed, far off in the depths of space, humanity's enemy was already on the move. The Karak, an alien race, were preparing to subjugate the galaxy. Their technology and warfare capabilities far surpassed that of humans. The Karak's main fleet was slowly and steadily approaching human colonies. Humanity had never faced such a threat before. Now, these young geniuses had to find a solution using the infinite simulation. The Karak's first attack came suddenly, striking a human colony without warning. Massive Karak ships tore through the skies, silently entering the atmosphere while the humans below had no idea what they were up against. Based on the data from the infinite simulation, the defense systems quickly activated, and laser cannons began firing into the sky. But the Karak ships were too advanced for human defenses. The colossal laser cannons surrounding the colony fell silent one by one. Small, swift Karak fighters rained death down on the human troops. Explosions echoed across the air at the speed of light, and people were gripped by panic. A few brave pilots took off from the ground, aiming to attack the Karak ships in the sky. The war had begun. The first wave rapidly wiped out the outer defenses of the colony. Thorn, Zeke, and Nyla watched the attack from their base, realizing that the strategies from the infinite simulation were failing fast. The data on their screens tried to analyze the speed and maneuvers of the Karak ships, but the results were terrifying. "This is impossible," Zeke shouted, eyes glued to the screens. The simulation accounted for every possibility. How are they learning so fast? Nyla remained calm, assessing the situation. "The Karak are watching us, learning our strategies," she said. "No matter how advanced the simulation is, we're facing a real enemy." Thorn realized at that moment that they had to find a solution. "We'll change the plan," he said. "We'll manipulate the simulation data. We'll attack in ways they don't expect. That's our only option now." Nyla and Zeke nodded. They would do whatever it took to defend the colony. When human ships quickly confronted the Karak fleet, they went beyond the tactics suggested by the infinite simulation. Nyla manipulated the program's algorithms to create an unexpected attack plan against the enemy ships. Under Thorne's command, the ships deviated from the planned routes, encircling the Karak ships in a surprising maneuver. The battle intensified in the void of space. Beams of light shot out from the Karak ships, targeting the human fighters. Each hit pushed humanity a little further back. Thorne's ship raced toward one of the Karak vessels. Laser cannons fired in rapid succession, but the Karak ship's strong shields remained intact. Thorne hesitated for a moment, but then Nyla's newly calculated data appeared on his screen. "Now!" Thorne shouted. His ship suddenly ascended and slipped into the Karak ship's blind spot. A missile launched from behind pierced through the shields and split the ship in two. Like a blazing star, the Karak ship erupted in a massive explosion. Humanity had won a significant victory. The destruction of the Karak ship in the sky signaled a small victory for humanity. However, the true face of the war had yet to reveal itself. The Karaks, unwilling to accept their first defeat, were preparing for an even stronger assault. There were still many Karak ships surrounding the colony, imposing a deadly blockade from ground to sky. The enemy was much smarter than expected. Humanity had to rely not only on their weapons, but also on their intelligence. The dark shadows descending over the colony were a warning of impending danger. The Karak mothership was slowly but surely entering the atmosphere. The colony's defense systems were severely damaged. The few remaining laser cannons fired desperately into the sky, but the Karak ship's shields easily deflected these feeble attacks. Now, the humans had to show resistance against the second wave of the Karak invasion. Zeke, rapidly inputting commands at the control panel, wore a worried expression. "These ships, their shields are too strong. We've never seen anything like this before," he said. Nyla, maintaining her composure, was entering new data into the system. "We need to find their weak points. Every shield has a vulnerability," she said with determination. Meanwhile, Thorne was busy giving orders to the ships on the battlefield. "Pilots, hold your defensive positions. Wait for the mothership to get closer. Then we'll strike." Explosions echoed through the sky, a sign that both sides were desperately searching for a solution. The human warships fired at the Karak ship's shields, but the enemy responded with deadly beams of light raining down upon them. A few ships exploded into fireballs under the Karak assault, their wreckage drifting through the atmosphere as the screams of pilots echoed over the radios. In the middle of the battle, everyone was fighting for survival. Thorne noticed that the number of human ships around the colony was rapidly decreasing. The Karaks were hitting harder with every attack, quickly eroding the human defenses. If nothing was done, the colony would be destroyed. "Order all ships to focus on the mothership," Thorne commanded. Zeke, after entering the final data into the system, relayed the orders. "Pilots, you heard him. Focus on the mothership and target the shield generator. We're running out of time." The human warships began moving toward the Karak mothership. The shields were still active, but according to Nyla's theory, there was a central power source. If they could destroy this energy source, the entire defense system would collapse. A deadly dance began in the sky. The human ships were constantly maneuvering to avoid the lethal laser beams. The Karaks, determined to crush the humans completely, continued their heavy assault. Thorne never took his eyes off the screen as he issued commands to the pilots. "Attack from the left flank. Catch them off guard," he shouted. Following Thorne's orders, the human ships suddenly changed direction. Several ships quickly ascended and surrounded the mothership. Their laser cannons fired continuously, but the powerful Karak shields still held firm. At that moment, Zeke's voice rang out. "We found the shield generator. It's located at the bottom of the ship." Nyla has adjusted the program. If we hit it, we can disable the shields. Thorn immediately gave the command. All ships, focus on the lower section and cut off the energy. The human warships quickly shifted their focus to the bottom of the Karak mothership. Their laser cannons unleashed a barrage of fire on the generator. A series of explosions could be heard, but the shields remained active. The Karak ships had also noticed the attack. Smaller Karak fighters protecting the mothership began chasing after the human ships, closing in fast. Yet, the human pilots didn't give up. One of them executed a deadly maneuver, quickly sliding under an enemy ship and launching a missile. The missile hit the Karak generator with pinpoint accuracy. A massive explosion followed, and suddenly, the shields of the Karak mothership went down. "Did we do it?" Zeke whispered in disbelief. Thorn wasted no time in issuing the final command. "Now, destroy the mothership." The human warships didn't miss the opportunity. They launched their final assault on the Karak mothership, dealing the finishing blow. The massive ship shook violently, cracks appeared along its hull, and explosions began tearing through its core. In a giant ball of fire, the Karak mothership disintegrated into the sky, obliterated by a tremendous explosion. After the destruction of the Karak mothership, a brief silence fell around the colony. However, this silence was deceptive. Thorn, Nyla, and Zeke knew, from the data gathered by the endless simulation, that an even greater threat was approaching. Despite the loss of their mothership, the Karak's reserve fleets had begun to mobilize to claim the colony. Thorn stood in the command center, watching the battlefield. The Karak fleets were advancing toward the human colony, undeterred by the destruction of their mothership. Several Karak ships hovered around the colony, strategically repositioning themselves. With their shields down, the Karak ships maneuvered faster and more aggressively, attempting to trap the human ships. Zeke's voice echoed through the command center. "The Karak are approaching quickly from the right flank. They outnumber us, but our defenses are still strong. If they don't attack in coordination, we can hold them off." Thorn gripped the edge of the table tightly, his eyes fixed on the screen. "We've brought them this far. Now it's time to strike back." He quickly sent commands to the other ship captains. "All ships, focus on the Karak assault group on the right flank. Target them and destroy them." Explosions erupted in the sky once more. The human warships returned fire, sending deadly, precise beams of energy toward the Karak vessels. The Karak ships moved swiftly, darting toward the human fleet, but the colony's defense systems were still operational. Surface-to-air missiles launched from the ground, blowing several Karak ships to pieces midair. Suddenly, something unexpected happened. According to the data, a rebellion had broken out among the Karak and their allies. Some of their commanders had raised the flag of rebellion, believing the war against the humans to be meaningless. These rebels turned against their own alliance leaders, thinking they had been deceived into waging a senseless war against humanity. Thorn furrowed his brow, understanding how such a situation could complicate a galactic war. How can we use this rebellion to our advantage? Human ships advanced toward the region caught between the Karak's civil war. The battlefield had become chaotic. The rebel faction was trying to seize control, but amidst the turmoil, the colony's safety remained paramount. Humans decided to use this confusion to focus on their primary target. The massive Karak command ship, hovering above the colony, had now become the common target of both the rebels and the human warships. Thorn was giving his final orders for a major assault. "All ships, focus on the command ship. The Karak are distracted by their civil war. We must seize this moment. Destroying that ship will determine the outcome of this battle." The human warships had to capitalize on the Karak's divided attention. The command ship loomed large in space, a massive shadow, and all the Karak's leadership and command structure were centralized there. If that ship was destroyed, the Karak forces would lose all cohesion. Hovering above the planet, human ships gathered their remaining strength for a final assault. Lasers and rockets were launched at the command ship. The Karak vessel still had functioning defense systems, but rebel Karak ships also started attacking it, adding to the chaos. The command ship's shields weakened rapidly under the assault from both sides. Zeke looked at the screen and smiled. This time, it's going to work. The shields are about to go down. Thorn took a deep breath. Pilots, destroy the command ship completely. This is our last chance. The human warships regrouped and concentrated their fire on the ship's final weak points. Rockets, explosions, and laser fire rained down in succession. The Karak command ship began to crack and shudder. A massive explosion echoed from inside, and the ship's structure quickly began to collapse. With one final, violent tremor, the ship disintegrated into a massive fireball in the atmosphere. The destruction of the Karak command ship marked a turning point in the galactic war. The rebels quickly retreated. The human colony had achieved a monumental victory. As Thorn looked over the battlefield, he sighed deeply. This was just one victory, but the war is far from over. Zeke, leaning back in his chair, exhausted but proud, murmured, "Humanity's intelligence and courage will always be one step ahead of technology." I hope you had a good time. If you liked my story, do not forget to comment and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye. See you in the next story.